Hey guys, and welcome back to Darkhorse Paranormal. In this episode, we will talk about rumours of a royal vampire. The grim, forbidden, glamorous castle stands in the Great Vale of Strathmore in Tayside, in the northeast of Scotland. For centuries, the vast fortified castle, with its pointed towers, has had a sinister reputation for housing an unspeakable, terrible secret. But what is this dreadful secret? It is said that only certain members of the British royal family know, but there have been whispers and blood-curdling rumours circulating about the secret glamorous castle for hundreds of years, and these strange claims are the subject of the following accounts. It is known that the glamorous secret has nothing to do with a stubborn bloodstain that cannot be removed from the floorboards in one of the castle rooms. That stain is the blood of King Malcolm II, who was cut down by the claymore swords of his rebellious subjects in the castle in the year 1084. Nor is the secret anything to do with the fact that Lady Glamis was burned at the stake outside the castle for practicing witchcraft, although her ghost still walks the corridors of Glamis as the Grey Lady. In fact, the secret of Glamis Castle lies in solving the following ghetto-screw jigsaw puzzles of the weird events. If you were to stand outside the castle and count the number of windows and compare them with the number of windows inside the building, you will always be 2 windows short. In other words, there seems to be a walled up secret room in Glamis, and what this room contains has been the subject of much debated over 600 years. No one knows where the secret room is, but some say it's on the top story of the castle, inside a tower. Then there is another queue. Over the centuries, servants have claimed to have heard strange thuds on the walls of the building, and one of the earls of Strathmore said he had overheard King James V mentioning the thing locked up in its room. Many servants at the time speculated that the thing was a deformed, overgrown child, the product of the continual inbreeding over the centuries within the royal family. Some researchers believe that this might be just the case. For an oil painting at the castle, there's a strange green-clad figure of a child with a strangely deformed torso. The identity of the painting subject has never been established. In the year 1486, a particular nasty event occurred at Glamis Castle when a party of neighbours called the Argyves came to Glamis and begged for protection from the sworn enemies, the Lindsay family. The Argyves were escorted to a chamber under the castle and left there without food or water for over a month. When the chamber was opened, one of the family was barely alive. He had eaten the other members of his family through starvation. In the 17th century, it was said that an unfortunate black slave was stripped naked and hunted as a fun game by the earls and their hunting dogs. The slave was repeatedly impaled with laces, and the dogs literally ripped him apart, while the ladies of the castle looked on in laughter. The murdered slave's ghost may be the strange figure known as Jack the Runner, who has been seen darting about the castle as he screams as if he's in agony. Around the time that the slave was hunted to death, a young maiden from the local village, who was involved with one of the earls, was said to have stumbled on a secret chamber in the Glamis, and whatever she saw, she must have been terrifying, because she ran screaming from the castle and was later captured by two royal henchmen. One of the henchmen took a pair of iron tongs, ripped out the lady's tongue, and threw it onto the fire. This was known as the ritual of silencing, and had been performed on several servants over the years who had stumbled upon the secret. The shock of having the tongue wrenched out at the root usually killed the victim, and they usually bled to death anyway. But the poor, after more mentioned young maiden, ran out the castle dungeon minus her tongue, in a state of terror with blood spurting out of her mouth. The henchmen went after her, and one of them grabbed her in a headlock and twisted her head until her neck broke. The body was miraculously sewed up to feed the wild boars in the forest. The unmentionable secret of Glamis was briefly touched upon in 1904, when the 13th Earl of Strathmore, Clausbow's Line, told a friend, "If you could only know the nature of this terrible secret, you'll go down on your knees and thank God it was not yours." The meaning of the Earl's remark deepens in mystery, but the friend he spoke later claimed they had a secret chamber and was quickly burnt off to the colonies. Some say he was sent to Australia. Early in the 20th century, when the daughter of the 14th Earl of Glamis asked what the secret was, her father told her, "You cannot be told. No woman can ever know the secret of Glamis Castle." It is claimed that certain members of the royal family know the terrible secret, and they are all males. It is said they are traditionally told on their 18th birthday, but none of the royals has ever commented or denied the secret of Glamis Castle. Curiously, a female vampire has allegedly been sighted in the grounds of the castle from time to time, and the legend has it that she is visiting her child, a half-human, half-vampire. In 1885, a collector of literature on historical oddities named George Bizard wrote to a private investigator named John Michael John at his office in York Buildings, Adelphi, London. Bizard said he was prepared to offer Michael a very substantial amount of money if he could uncover the so-called Glamis secret. Michael declined, recognizing the fact that the royals were a powerful family who could destroy his career and perhaps imprison him if he delved into their secrets. Blizzard therefore sat down in the study of his Bloomsbury home and wrote to another private detective named Collinson of Savory Street, but he also turned down the collector's offer. Finally, when word of Blizzard's offer was mentioned at a gentleman's club, two adventurers named Edward Ray and John Grimshaw took up the intriguing but dangerous and controversial challenge. These two gentlemen both applied for employment at Glamis Castle, but only one, Edward, was accepted as a junior butler. John Grimshaw found lodgings at a cottage several miles from the castle, and the two men communicated by sending Morse code to one another. Grimshaw sent his message by covering and uncovering a bullseye lantern, and his colleague imparted information by doing the same with a candle at one of the windows in Glamis Castle after dark. The two occasionally met during various days of the week when Mr. Ray was sent to the local village in order groceries for the cooks of the castle. According to Ray, in the relatively short time he had been employed at the castle, he had met two members of staff, a footman and a young female servant, who had enthusiastically talked about the length of the Glamis secret. Both their stories mentioned a vampire that inhabited a secret room in one of the turrets. This vampire was the result of some curse on the bloodline of the Earls of Strathmore, and the creature was only allowed to walk on the roof of the castle most nights. The vampire could not be killed because it had royal blood in its veins and was regarded a member of the Earls family. Fresh human blood was allegedly taken up with the vampire every few days, and the origin of that nourishment remained a mystery. The young maid told how on one occasion, when the Earl and his family were away, the staff hung towels from every window within the castle, and they went outside to see that there were several windows where no towel was evident, because they were the windows of the secret chambers where the royal vampire was allowed to roam. John Grimshaw corresponded with George Bizard about the extraordinary claims, and the latter sent more money to the two investigators to encourage them to look a little deeper into the strange goings-on of Glamis. Weeks afterwards, Edward Ray was awakened at almost 3 in the morning by a female scream. Ray stumbled out of bed in his long johns and went to the corridor outside his room with a candle. At the end of the corridor, the senior butler barred his way and strongly advised Ray to return to his bed. Ray said that the scream seemed to have come from the upper floors, but in a stern voice, his senior told him to get back to his room immediately. It was after that night the young maid who had told Edward Ray about the vampire was absent. Edward Ray attempted to gain access to the secret chambers in one of the turrets of the castle, but he was caught by a member of staff and sacked. Ray and Grimshaw returned to London. They refused to take any more money off Mr. Blizzard, feeling they had failed their mission. Could there be any truth in the story of a royal vampire? Queen Mary, the consort of George V, was related to Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler was a barbaric Transylvanian ruler who once killed more than 100,000 Turkish soldiers by having them impaled on long spiked wooden poles as he dripped his beard in the blood at an open-air banquet overlooking the scene of mass carnage. The psychopath Transylvanian was known as Dracula, Romanian for son of the devil, and he's thought to have been a major inspiration for Bram Stoker's famous vampire novel Dracula. Prince Charles then is a direct descendant of Vlad Dracula, and in November 1998, when His Royal Highness visited Transylvania during a tour of Eastern Europe, he told the newspaper and television reporters covering his trip that he was aware of his famous Transylvanian ancestor. The Freedom of Information Act of 2000 is an act of Parliament that introduced the public right to know, but only in relation to public bodies, so therefore it could not be applied to the secrets of the British monarchy. The Mark Breyer secret of Glamis Castle will therefore remain a secret for many years.